Hello, it's Paul Clegg here, and I've got the pleasure of talking with Mark Howard today. Mark has a business called Skymark Financial, and he's going to tell you exactly what he does and what services that he offers. But before he does that, welcome, Mark.
Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. How are you going?
Very well, thank you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your background and what got you into doing what you do?
I'm originally from the southeast of England, from Epsom Downs in Surrey, and started off in the finance world way back in 1981. As it turned out that my father's business, his bookkeeper was retiring, and he needed somebody to come in and learn the ropes for his own business. And with my background has always been the numerate side of rather than the literary side, it seemed a good fit. So that's where the journey began. From that business, when he retired and sold his business, I then moved through and had roles in accounts payable, in accounts receivable. I've been assistant accountant, company accountant, financial accountant, right the way through to financial controller, and the last main role I had was a group financial controller. So along the way, I like to think that I've served my apprenticeship and would never ask anybody to do anything that I haven't or couldn't do myself.
And believe it or not, I'm a marketing creative man, you're a numbers man, and we've got more in common than you imagine. Because I started life as a police cadet, and then when I decided that that wasn't the future I should take, I thought I'd take advantage of one of my O-levels, which was bookkeeping. And I actually went to work for AEI in Trafford Park as a cost accountant, or trainee cost accountant. And I hated it. And I guess there's a lot of people that are in business or starting a business, and that finance isn't their biggest strength, which I think is one reason why the sort of services that you provide could be very valuable to people. Tell us a bit more about how you set up your business and what services you offer.
Sure. I mean, it's very true that the majority of people start out in business because they have a passion for what they do, whatever that service or product that they make is. It's highly likely they don't have a passion for spending their evenings and weekends sorting through paperwork and spending too much time away from the family working through that whole process.
If somebody's thinking of starting up a business right now, they're probably not thinking about how to set it up financially. When should somebody talk to you?
Well, the best time to talk to me is as soon as they've made that decision to take that journey. To get things set up from the start is crucial to the success of any business. Get things set up correctly. As you say, whether that's limited company, sole trader, partnership, there are advantages and there are disadvantages to all three of those.
What sort of mistakes do you think small business owners are likely to make that they could avoid making?
The first mistake would be looking at getting the wrong structure to suit your requirements of the business. The next mistake is not having enough working capital in the business to fund the business as it grows. The more mistakes would be taking too much out of the business. It's very easy for a small business owner, if they're not working with an advisor, to see cash coming into the business and suddenly think, great, I'll have some of that out. There are always tax implications. There are always things that have to be considered, and working with an advisor these days has never actually been easier than it is now. With all the great cloud accounting packages that are out there, everybody sees the same piece of information. The business owner gets the dashboard straight to their phone. I see exactly the same piece of information here. We can keep in touch regularly. It's just never been easier. Also with the cash forecasting software that's out there, it picks up that data from the cloud accounting software and it will give you a forecast for the next 3 months. You've got to think of cash as like the petrol in the car.
Mm-hmm.
If your car runs out of petrol, And if your business runs out of cash, your business or your car is going to go nowhere. It's going to be come to a very quick stop. Businesses can be very profitable, and I've been in businesses where they have been very profitable, but they have had absolutely up to the limit on borrowing, overdrafts, because they have had extremely poor cash control.
What challenges and what things do you think somebody that's starting out in business, what should they watch for as they take their business out of lockdown?
Sure. I mean, from a cash flow perspective, there will always be issues. You can never completely 100% eradicate issues, but what you can do, and it's so easy to do these days, is a few simple steps to make sure that you do get paid as quickly as possible. That is, the first one to do is, it's a simple scenario, but if you think about it, it's quite logical. The quicker you get the invoice out to the customer, odds are the quicker you're going to get paid by the customer. And again, with technology these days, if you're a plumber or a gardener, whatever your trade is, before you leave the premises that you finish at, with the right software on your phone, you can send an invoice by email to the customer before you drive off. So that's all about working smarter. The next thing to think of is get those invoices right. The last thing that any business wants to do is hand on a silver platter to a customer a gold-plated excuse not to pay. And businesses will look for reasons not to pay. Make it easy for your customers to pay. Have as many payment options as possible. And there's still cash and checks, but these days there's so many more ways of paying that aren't expensive. Merchant services you can have on your phone. You can have direct debit if you're through a company called Go Cardless. If you're on a regular, you have regular clientele, and even if your cash flow is seasonal, why not give your customers the option to pay on a fixed monthly fee over the 12 months? At least that then keeps, from some customers, that keeps money flowing. And if you keep money flowing, you're going to keep growing. And another option to think of when you're working with customers is ask for some, or if not all of the money up front. There's nothing wrong with at least asking for 50% deposit. I've been in businesses where that's standard practice, that it doesn't even get onto the floor. If it's a manufacturing business, something's being made, it doesn't even start production until that 50% deposit is paid. So just make it easy for people to pay you.
A number of people at some stage consider VAT and VAT registration.
Sure.
And I know there's a level that you have to be VAT registered, but I also see some people registering from VAT right from the offset. Why would somebody do that, and what is that upper limit? There's two questions there.
Sure. I mean, the VAT threshold for obligatory registration is £85,000. So if your business is turning over £85,000, or it looks like it's going to be turning over £85,000 in the next 30 days, you need to register. There are some advantages to voluntary registration, in that that's registering before you actually need to. And if you're the type of business that has a lot of outgoings as well as revenue, then you're going to be able to claim back the VAT on your expenses, and so making your business more profitable. So there are some advantages to be had, and that's down to when you're setting up your business, working with an advisor, asking, what are you supplying, services or goods? Are you buying and selling? Are you supplying a service? All of that comes into play. And when deciding, okay, well, actually, you should look at voluntary registration, The downside of voluntary registration is that, yes, there is more admin involved, but that's another benefit of working with an advisor such as Skymark Financial, in that will all be done for you within your fixed monthly fee. So you have no financial headaches to worry about. And the business owner can focus on what they do best.
A number of people, there's going to be a lot of people starting businesses in the next 6 months, 12 months. And a lot of those will be running businesses from home. What's the situation on being able to claim back use of, let's say, a bedroom that you put your desk in and your phone, and you are doing your homework from that room? Is there a tax saving on that? Is there something that can be claimed back?
Certainly, anybody working from home, there are tax advantages, and you can claim back certain home expenses. Yeah, we're working on behalf of the clients.
Yeah.
So any good accountant is not just about looking backwards and reporting. They're always about looking forwards and advising and working with the client to say, where can money be legitimately saved? How can we do things smarter? How can we do things better? Any good accountant should be adding value to the business.
I think thereby lies an issue for many people, because I talk to a lot of business owners, and sometimes you hear people say that they just don't know what value that their accountant brings, because they've had their accountant for so long. It's almost everything is automatic, and you feel as if a bit of complacency creeps in.
Absolutely. I mean, especially in the current climate that we've just been through, accountants should really have been stepping up to the mark and really supporting their customers through this whole COVID-19 crisis. And I think there will be a lot of small businesses out there who will be taking a step back and thinking, hang on a second, why haven't I heard from my accountant in the last 10 weeks? What's he been doing? How's he been supporting me? And I think this whole situation is going to make people stop and think, how can I do things better? Is it a good time to change? And that's why I think for a lot of businesses, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the right people.
Mark, you've raised a very good point there, because I know that there's grants, there's people, you've had to furlough staff, there's all sorts of financial, some are loans, some are grants, etc. For many people, it's probably confusing. So if somebody hasn't reached out and said, have we claimed for this? Should we be doing this? Or you could be doing this. That's the sort. You should have heard from your accountants. If you've not heard from your accountant in the last 10 weeks, you really ought to be talking to Mark. What sort of challenge, realistically, what challenges do you see that any business, startup, small, medium-sized business, what challenges do you think they're going to face in the next 12 months?
That's a really good and hard question to answer. The challenge
that's why I asked it.
Yeah. I mean, the challenge is going to be able to make sure you have enough cash in the bank to keep your business going, to make sure that you reach out to your customers, to make sure that you look after your suppliers. Remember, your suppliers are just in need of the cash as you are, and communication is the key there. And it's really just finding ways to adapt and take advantage of the new opportunities that will undoubtedly be out there. And small businesses are the ones that are best placed to adapt and take full advantage of those. And anybody that needs help to see whether an opportunity is a good one, then reach out to your advisor.
I think there's one thing that will be on a lot of people's mind, and that is that they may need to refinance to take advantage, say, of a grant. And some people who haven't got a very profitable business will say, really, is this, and they're not anticipating it being easy to go and acquire new customers. And I'm thinking of pubs and restaurants, etc. They're going to take it longer to get back into the running of things.
Exactly. I mean, treatment of loans and treatment of grants are two completely different. They're two completely different animals. So the treatment of those in the accounts has to be done correctly. The thought of getting it wrong, I did see somewhere that actually somebody had treated a grant as subject to V80, which is not, and therefore 20% of the grant that they got went back to the taxman unnecessarily. Oh. So things like that, you need that professional advice, and spending a little bit on professional advice will save you a fortune in the long run.
I meet a lot of people in business, and one of the benefits of having a business should be to be able to sell that business, and to maybe to prepare their business for sale as they're coming out to retirement, and there will be people saying, I don't really want to continue with this, it's too much stress. Maybe people have been able to reevaluate the way they want to live their life, and maybe think, right, I need to think about maybe retiring earlier. Do you have many conversations with people about getting your business ready for sale?
Any business has got to have their books up to date. Any potential buyer of a business is going to want to see an accurate and up-to-date set of finances. So that's essential. The process of selling a business is not something that I have a great deal of experience in, but at the end of the day, finances have to be up to date. Any buyer looking at that is going to be trawling through those finances with a fine-tooth comb, looking for reasons to pay you less for your business.
But your experience would enable somebody to be able to, would it be able to help calculate the value of that business? Because we all think our business is worth more than it actually probably is.
Of course, I mean, the business valuation side of things is a very specialist area.
Right.
And not something that I have personal experience of, but would certainly be able to partner with somebody for me to bring the books up to date, to bring the finances up to date, and partner with a specialist in that area. It's like going to your GP, but then they refer you to a specialist in the particular area that you need treatment on. Yeah. It's the same with finances. Think of me as the GP.
Right.
And then I would then refer to a specialist in the field, because if you're selling a business, a little bit on specialist in the field may gain you an extra 10% on the value of your business.
Yeah.
And if you spend £500, for argument's sake, to gain an extra 10,000 in value, then that's a good investment.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's nice to know you're almost the doctor of finance. Maybe I can become the doctor of marketing. But Mark, it's been a pleasure talking to you as ever.
Lovely, Paul. It's been a real pleasure. I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully give people some insight into the importance of getting your finances right, and the potential cost of not getting them right.
That is absolutely true. I can attest to that. Thanks very much indeed, Mark.
Okay, Paul. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
All the best.
There's that ongoing support that's so crucial to small businesses, especially startups, because to wait to get to your first year end as a startup and then get your first set of accounts and fully understand what they're telling you, if the news from those accounts isn't good, odds are it's way too late.